This is Matthew Williams. I'm the COO of Eastech, and I am here with the Director of Software Development, Max Turner. We are going to go through the next generation of iTracking in the Eastech cloud. So what we're looking at right now is a small basin that we have a few manholes in. What you can see above in the legend are all of the intelligence points. These are where iTrackers are placed in manholes within the system. As you go through, you can actually, our main primary goal is the I&I detection. The I&I can also be rain derived. It can just be what's ever present there with groundwater. And what we're looking for is we're looking at all of the flow data to see where we're getting I&I from. What you can see here is based upon the map where all of the intelligence points are, all the iTrackers are placed. You can see where we find a presence of after a study period. You need at least a week with this, but this is about a 2 to 3 month time span. And what we're seeing here is after study is conducted is all of this data is basically showing us that we have a presence of I&I at these particular manholes in the system. We also have points in the system that aren't displaying any I&I or any other issues as well. We can also detect surcharging, capacity issue, and blockages at each one of the manholes here. So what you'll see is each one of the intelligence points represented by an iTracker in the manhole can also detect all of these multiple issues as well as where the I&I is present. And so if we click on one of these intelligence points, we'll actually get a feature called auto reporting. And auto reporting will automatically go through and tell us in easy human readable language what is going on at a particular site. The intelligence points break down to when each one of these issues occurred, how often it occurs, and what could be potentially causing some of these issues. You'll also get a number of parameters for these, such as the pipe size, individual populations on these, and exactly where some of these volumes are coming from and how the quantity of those volumes. We can actually see, if we scroll down to the very bottom of it, we can actually start to see what some of the individual costs would be. If you have some water meter data and you know how much per 1,000 gallons it costs the customer, you can actually start to put a real number to what the I&I and other blockages and surcharges are costing that customer at the end of this study. What I'd like to say is that all of this is backed up by further data that can be further analyzed for internal or external workflows. All of these are represented by bar graphs that can be easily identified where your rain-derived I&I is coming from, what your base population gallonage is, what your groundwater is, and what your total I&I is contributing to any number of problems or issues within the system. We have a number of visualizations that can really tell you from individual site line charts to basically pie charts that will go through and tell you what's the biggest contributor within that basin that's causing an issue. We can go through each one of these and really drill down on the individual sites. But for this demonstration, what we're really focused on is the overall performance of Eastech Cloud and auto analysis and auto reporting within that context. So we're going to go down to street level here, and then we're going to pop back up so we can actually start to see that, yes, these are real manhole locations anywhere on the map, and very easily see that the GIS positioning is very close to where we're inserting these iTrackers. And these iTrackers themselves are really giving you sort of a camera-like view of what's going on in your system. I'm now going to turn it over to Max, who's going to explain playback.
So here we're going to look at playback, which allows us to view all of our sites on a map and see how the flow is changing in relation to weather events. So we can see overlaid on the map, we can see the rain accumulation that is happening at a specific time, and then we can see at a granular level each of our sites where an iTracker is installed. We can see how that affects the flow. So if we play this and start this, we can see this rain moving in. And then as that rain starts to accumulate more, and then we get some heavier rain coming in, we can see how that affects the flow of these sites.
Yeah, those numbers are represented there. The colors there are representative of the inches of the rain going through the system. And at that point, you can really start to see that, we have just probably some scattered shower until you get to the green there, where you're about an inch to inch and a half worth of rain.
Yeah. So, and then as that comes in, we can see where we may have problems here. And you see this middle site highlighted in red, where we have a significant amount of flow over our normal on a dry day. So we can see that that's increasing, and then we can see that that same increase continuing downstream from that. So we can see where we have possibly some I&I and some issues with that location and with the pipe in between those two sites. So we can see that in real time, and we can see as the rain moves out, those levels continue to stay elevated, indicating some problems. And then as this goes, we can watch it back through it again. You can play, pause, you can change the playback speed, you can rewind and go through it all, and really get a good idea at a low level of what might be happening with your system.
Yeah, and this coupled with the auto analysis really gives you the ability to go through and not only analyze what your system normals are, not to just see, what existing problems I already have within the system, but to see what happens dynamically in almost a near real-time way of looking at the weather and precipitation types that affect your sewage and wastewater collection system, and to see what happens whenever they're under duress in sort of a fashion like this, to where we see the red ring around the manhole actually come up and dynamically tell us, like, during this rain event, I have rain-derived I&I and potentially a surcharge condition in that particular manhole. And being able to see that in a very easily identifiable way of going through and just at a glance looking at your system and being able to see those problems in a video-like manner. This is really the power of Eastech Cloud and of iTracking, of the next generation of iTracking, where you're not just looking at the raw data that tells you a whole lot in that system already, but you're actually going to be able to visually key in and be told, without much labor and much analysis, being able to tell what's wrong with that system and effectively where you need to start doing the most effective work first in your system, instead of trying to track it down, manhole to manhole, what may be going on in your system. And so we feel like at Eastech that these tools that we have built up in the cloud are really going to enable Dukes to really efficiently go through and be able to answer the customer questions and service them the best way as possible.